So do we have any comments on last meeting's minutes? I have a motion to approve them.
Yes, I'll motion.
I'll second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay.
I don't know why I'm voting. Carrying on with the group.
From the record.
Straight on the record, I don't vote.
All right, well, thank you, and then we'll turn to Nathan.
Hi, it's
Hi.
it's good to be here. It's nice to meet you all. I've worked at the library for 15 years, most of that time in programming. Now I work with Mike in Library Hall with events, rentals, volunteers, and and the art as well. Yeah, and as part of our STEP program, we each need to do a capstone project, so the organizing the conference this year was my capstone for that, and I was really excited to get to work on that. So as Bryce has pointed out in this tour, we've really, the last couple of years, we've focused on creating library experiences, and as libraries have been evolving with new technology and new community needs, that's reflected in our library, in access, in the different types of materials that we circulate, and with our activities and events. And so this conference was focusing on that. This was the second time we've done it. We're hoping to make it kind of an annual thing. And the thinking behind it is that there are a lot of library conferences, including one each year through the Utah Library Association. For many library staff, especially at Utah Valley's smaller libraries, the expense can be considerable, especially with travel and that sort of thing. And so last year, the thinking was, it would be great to have an annual conference that is free to attend, and it's open to all of the library staff in the county. And we connected with, our administration connected with Provo Library, with Spanish Fork, with Springville, and the four bigger libraries in the valley have kind of taken point on having a conference or two every year as a way of connecting library staff here in the valley, networking, brainstorming, and it's been a lot of fun. Last year's went really well. Provo Library also had one that went really well, and I think this year's was really fun as well. Let me see here. Let me look at my notes. So I kind of talked about our goals with that, to provide an opportunity for Utah Valley Library staff to network, socialize, brainstorm, make connections. We also wanted to provide quality sessions that focus on different aspects of librarianship that we have noticed are important to us here in our valley, or on a smaller level, it can be more granular, addressing some of the needs that we see directly in our communities here. And also, we wanted it to be fun and seen as a reward, a chance for our staff and others to get together and just enjoy the company of other people who love libraries and all of that. So as part of this, so I kind of spearheaded it, but it was an effort across all areas of the library, which was a big task, especially with everything that we've been doing lately. But we had a lot of support from all the different areas of the library in helping organize, putting out calls for proposals, for papers, organizing food, setup, all of that. And then we also extended, the opportunity for our staff members to participate as well. That's something that I didn't mention at the beginning. As part of the city's STEP program, library staff, in order to move up in their steps to get a raise and have move up in like their titles, things like that. There are requirements as far as like giving presentations at conferences, and like I mentioned before, that can be prohibitive, just cost and travel. And so that was another I guess goal of our own conference was, we can have our own conference, and it's a great opportunity for staff to share what they know and have learned, and also to learn from them. So we extended it to any library staff in the Valley. It was kind of tricky getting people to sign up, at least from other areas. We did get a little bit of participation on some of our stuff, which we were really grateful for. But so not having a lot of people from outside of the organization, it led us to get creative and reach out to other departments in the city. As we thought, we have lots of experts here on campus who have different perspectives, different skills and experience that is still very pertinent to us as library staff. So we reached out to Steve Cannon, who is he's got cybersecurity somewhere in his title, right? He's in IT. He's one of our managers who focuses on cybersecurity. He gave a great presentation on AI and libraries. Kind of talked about some of the pitfalls, some of the things to be wary about, what AI is really good for, what it's not good for, and then just kind of a basic overview. One of my favorite presentations that was given was from Cameron Wilson, who works in our police department, and she is the mental health liaison, I believe. And so she gave a great presentation on working with neurodiverse patrons, talking about the whole neurodiverse spectrum and ways of de-escalating in some situations. When we may see someone going through a meltdown because of overstimulation or things like that. If you can see it through the lens of neurodivergence, rather than this is a huge disruption and we have to stop, it handles it much more smoothly. We had a presentation on STEP program and advancement, and Bryce was on that, as well as the director from the Springville Library. We had some people from our city in HR, as well as someone from a manager from Salt Lake County, and they were just talking about from their perspective how library staff can be mentored, and then in the question and answer, from the staff point of view, it was kind of questions about how do I develop some of the skills that you need for advancement. We have so many wonderful librarians, and when I first started, I was like, I have all of this great knowledge about fiction, but what do I need to do to become a better librarian as far as supervisory skills, working with the public, customer service, that kind of thing. So that was great. And then kind of the keynote, and this was what I thought was really fun about our conference, was we set up an escape room on the stage of the library. Our library has done an escape room for summer reading for probably 10 years, I think. It's one of our most popular events. It's also one of our most challenging events. And the programming team has done an excellent job of just refining it and getting it down to a science, where they can accommodate the largest number of participants with, you know, the least amount of like reset and like staff difficulty. And so Megan Flinders-Pay, who's our programming librarian, she and Ruth Covington and some others set up one of our previous year's escape rooms. Mike helped with lighting and sound, and it looked really cool. Is everyone familiar with escape rooms and kind of what that is? Anyway, so that was just going the whole time. And so as one of the sessions, participants could go and experience that. And then our keynote at the end was Megan was giving a presentation about it and kind of talking about the process, how we've kind of worked on providing this over the years, and then took, you know, questions and answers. So it was a really fun, I thought very informative conference. And then at the end, we were really excited to have Moon's Rare Books was there at the end, and he brought some of his, you know, treasures. And it was really fun to sit around in a group of, you know, 20, 30 librarians and then just watch their jaws drop as he pulled things out of just a duffel bag. You know, he's like, oh, here's some correspondence from Jane Austen. And he had, you know, historical photos from like the USS Nimitz, I think, for the signing of like, you know, the surrender document with you know, Japan at the end of World War II. He had one of only 6 copies of this 15th century grimoire. It was like a book. It was a book on like how to detect like witchcraft and like how to fight witches. And he opened it, and there were just these weird arcane symbols and just, you know, this little, you know. And the other 5 copies are in the British Library. And he told us that one would sell for somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million-ish, and I don't know how I felt comfortable just carrying that around. But it was a lot of fun. We learned a lot. We had, I think, goals for next year. We want to increase participation, especially from our own staff here. I think that was mostly down just because of construction. It happened the same week that Shannon and her staff were moving. And so it was kind of a tricky time, but we wanted to preserve that time in the fall as kind of, you know, this is when our conference is. And we also really want to solicit more sessions from, you know, staff outside of our organization. We hope to get in a little bit earlier, do what we can to just, you know, get administration from other libraries to urge their staff to participate. So anyway, yeah.
Can the Library Advisory Commission participate in any of that?
Oh, absolutely. I think that would be a great idea.
Are you signed up to speak? Because we will put you
Participate in Moon's discussions?
Yeah.
Oh,
and things
yeah.
like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll
That would be a
make
great
sure to
idea.
send you all an invite next.
Yeah.
If you have a witch in your life that you need us to get some
There you go.
moments for, let us know.
I was just there
later.
yesterday. They have steaks. The vampire steaks.
Oh,
in
wow.
the glass box with all
What
the
is
things.
it? Malleus Maleficarum or something
Sure.
is what he had.
Yeah, witch's
which is
hammer.
like the witch guy.
Yeah,
like,
like,
great.
oh, I'm almost afraid of reading them. I don't know.
Yeah. He also had a 400-year-old Shakespeare folio,
Yeah.
which he let somebody hold.
Oh my goodness.
And
Gloves on.
the original screenplay from that
Yeah.
became Star Wars, but it wasn't called Star Wars originally, so
Wow.
which is really cool.
How fun.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
I was
sure.
just wondering, so you mentioned this, how did you market to people
Yeah,
to get them
that's-
to come? Like, what was...
That's a good question. So as part of the Library Hall division, our one of our staff members, Ruth Covington. She's kind of a designer. So she helped with that. I put together a few things like through Canva, and then we just contacted library directors and administration and others directly in the valley that we've worked with before.
We had about 70 total
Yeah.
people there, so
Yeah.
when you consider, Pace and Santa Quinn is a two-person operation, us and Provo are the largest operations, and then PG, AF, Saratoga are
Yeah.
sort of in the middle. Highland is medium, small, and then you get down to Pace and Santa Quinn, where it's a single room. Vineyard is a single room, single library, and
Yeah. And I should have brought the numbers with me. I think we had about 10 different libraries represented. So that was good. Provo had their director and a number of their staff came. And
Springville's director was
Springfield's
here.
director,
Spanish
Spanish
director.
Forks director. I think we had a couple from Highland. I think one from Eagle Mountain or Saratoga Springs. So, yeah.
One of my favorite parts of it is what we call a lightning round, where
Oh.
we have a lunch in there too. And then following the lunch as people are wrapping up, and they've got their tables and they're kind of networking. But go around with a microphone and just give everybody, like 60 seconds to talk about something that you're excited about, that you're working on in your position at your library. Just so that everyone, because one of the major benefits I think for a lot of staff is just like hearing ideas, and meeting other people and seeing oh, wait a sec, they had that cool thing about, what was that Harry Potter program that they were doing? I want to talk to them. And so making those connections and then realizing, oh yeah, they're just next door. We can literally just open up communication there and collaborate on some of these things to help each other. And so that's a fun one where everybody just kind of goes around and sometimes needs a little encouragement to grab the microphone and talk, but when they get going, there's some great ideas and just everything from story time and collection development to publicity and just fundraising ideas, things like that. So anyway, I love that.
go ahead, Matthew.
Just another thing, I don't know if, coming from the high school, I know James Jones, who you know, over
Yeah.
Orem High School, has built a program he's interested in building. And I've met other high school librarians who are not interested in that.
Yeah.
I think that lighting round would be somewhere, if those guys were included, those librarians from the high school level, where they'd be like, oh wait, it might help some of them take their jobs a little bigger. Or,
Absolutely.
That's a great- that's a great
hearing
suggestion.
ideas across the board, because that step is the next thing in, right? So.
We'd love to have James come by.
About the UVU and BYU libraries. Got-
We did have, last year we had someone, I forget the name, from BYU there, and then also from the state library. This year, I can't remember if we did, was Mary McKinnon there?
They weren't able to make it.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
responded.
Yeah. We'd extended some invitations, but yeah, those are great ideas.
I love going to the spring, to the Utah Library Association conference, or they have what are called roundtables every couple of months. But those are often presented by the best of the best, and it can sometimes lean very academic or pushing the envelope. And what I love about this, to Mike's point of the lightning round, or to Nathan's point of there's a level of practicality, and the people that are coming are part-timers, they're young associates. Sometimes they just need to know more about how to motivate 16-year-olds as employees, rather than what's happening up at the legislature and what's happening on the cutting forefront of this and these massive changes. And so I love that it's a little bit of a mix where this is very accessible, and a lot of the lightning rounds were just such practical, boring things, but it's what I got to get through on a Tuesday, rather than, oh, that's something we should consider in the next 5 years as part of our strategic plan. So just a really nice 1-2 mix for everybody. And Matt, I love the idea of reaching out to our high schools and these colleges. I think we have really focused on the public library because they sort of divide us out.
Yeah.
But I think from a practical standpoint, I'm sure they're dealing with the same supervisor stuff, the same little, life hacks, just basic stuff. So that's something we can reach out to for the next year. I like that.
Just from that high school standpoint, you look at, because I was at Mountain View and Orem High School for 12 years, both schools. And Orem, James Jones, that I work with a lot closely. We did music in the library program. We do a bunch of different things with the radio station. And so we go to Orem High, kids talk about the library. It's like we go to the library, we hang out in the library, the library. That wasn't the culture at Mountain View. And it wasn't just like, you know, it wasn't one person making that decision. It was a culture.
Yeah.
And so by trying to bring this idea like, hey, everybody, there's ideas everywhere. You can make your culture what you want it to be. You want to grow it. You'll build that connection where you have a person that is encouraging kids, hey, the library is a place to be. And that can be carrying on when they go to the next level in their community. So.
Sure. Love it.
Okay.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
That was really good. I appreciate that
Thanks.
summary. And yeah, now we all want to go.
See you next time.
Calendar invites will be out next July 1st, June 1st. We'll have the date set and let y'all know.
It's usually the third week of September, just.
Okay.
Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning and early afternoon, third week of September.
Okay. So update on the library renovations, that's just kind of what we did, so we're good there. The summit report, Bryce.
I want to be respectful. It's 7 o'clock. I'm happy to table these. I'm happy to knock them out in 10 minutes total between the two. What would y'all prefer?
If you can knock them out, is everyone comfortable with giving
If
a
you
little
need
more
to step
time?
out, great. And
Okay.
and I'm not in a rush, so I'm happy to go slow or stick around for questions or whatnot. Our tour took a minute, so.
Okay.
Great, and I know staff, if y'all need to take off as well, please step out as needed. So, we recently had the Directors Summit. So annually, the State Library puts on this, and it's not required, but basically required. This is our chance to be with the state for 3 days, to go through a lot of things. I have a PowerPoint. I don't think I'm gonna hook it up in here. I'll have Sharon email it out afterwards. It's very light. The two biggest things that I wanted to have in front of y'all today for discussion, the first surrounds the process of certification or recertification. And this was a big deal 2.5 years ago when I came into the position, when there was questions about funding and boards and commissions. Certification was something that was only for libraries from that had a service area of 1 to 50,000 people. They did not, and currently still do not, certify libraries for cities larger than 50,000. So in Utah County, Lehigh, Provo, and Orem do not have to certify or recertify. Spanish, Springville on down do. So that's where your cutoff. Saratoga is probably, if not already, moving to join us as the larger cities. Their thought being that a lot of what certification covers is taken care of in large cities. A lot of it focuses on risk management, cybersecurity plans, fire suppression systems, facilities, and so these things that, again, I don't know why I keep going to Sanquin, but Sanquin might not have, and here we have a Steve Cannon whose only job is cybersecurity. And so we don't need the state library's resources to help the library manage cybersecurity because we have that here. They are looking at changing that and have sent out some material, so they talk to us as large libraries to say, if the state chooses to certify all libraries, how would that go for y'all? What would be your concerns? How would it look? Internally, we had some conversations to say, how do we make this work for us? Sharon already does a lot of reports. We submit a ton of information. We can't get too far outside the buoys with the reports that we already have to the state because of what we already have to do. And so a lot of our feedback was, we don't mind certifying. That's fine. We just want it to look as similar as possible to the work we already have to do. And so if it's do you have a cybersecurity plan? Yes, upload PDF. We're fine with that. If we have to answer a bunch of questions about our cybersecurity plan and it's going to add 40 hours of work, which would not be like a crazy estimate to Sharon, we're less excited about it. So the biggest ones are required trainings where everything Nathan just presented on does not satisfy that requirement. And that's fine, it's okay. It does add a lot of required webinar trainings for our entire staff. We have over 100 staff now, and sometimes those are super applicable to what we do, sometimes online required webinar trainings. If you've done those for your job or whatever, you know how effective those are. And again, if it's 30 minutes annually, that's fine. Some of it looks like it could be up to 10 or 12 hours per employee annually. all of a sudden the city of Orem is paying $20,000 for a very small return on investment. So, but we don't want to sound like we're anti-online state training. We understand the state is really trying to codify and align. So those were Jamie and Shannon. Am I hitting the high notes? I felt like those were the two major things. Everything else, our collection development budgets are very strong in relation to minimum requirements. Our number of master's degrees is very strong. Our safety plans, cybersecurity, facility plans, strategic plans, mission vision, a lot of that feels like as long as they make it easy for us to say yes and upload, we're cool with it. But I wanted to bring that to y'all because that feels like a big change for them, specifically for 2.5 years ago, where it became sort of a talking point. It was a moot talking point, but it felt like a big talking point. And I don't want to gloss over that or oversimplify it, but also we're pretty dang compliant with what would be required of us. It would mostly just be that training. So any thoughts or feedback or clarifying questions that y'all have?
What was driving it? Were there concerns?
That's a great question. I don't know if I got the full answer. So Kara Rothman is our Utah State librarian. So she is the state library is both its own library and it's the organization from the governor's office that is over libraries in the state. I think there is just an element of not control. That's a negative word, but consistency maybe, or for the state to say, look, we're doing our job to help support and keep these libraries in a place that's good. It doesn't get into any sort of collection development standards or your libraries must have this or you have to do these types of things. So I don't think it's a local control, state control concern because that would be hard for me to standardize that. We already have to standardize it across our collection developers. Now we have to standardize it to the state. Why are we doing that? But I don't think that that's an issue that was popping up. I think a lot of it is risk management. Their carrot is a very small amount of funding, probably $20,000.
To be certified.
If you lose certification, or if you're on remedial certification, you can't get the LSTA grant, the Library Science Technology grant.
That's what it stands
Yeah,
for.
so basically you lose $20,000 of funding, but I don't think we would want to be an uncertified library either. That doesn't seem the right idea for us. But yeah, so it didn't feel punitive, and I trust them. Mary Lee Cannon is our state rep that works with us. We have a great relationship with her. She's very good. She's very transparent. She lives in Orem, so I don't think there's something where the state's trying to get a hold of us. I think it's just sort of a consistency and really like a regulation because a lot of it is risk management, cybersecurity, facility master plan, those types of things.
So really just a standardization across all the state libraries.
Yep.
But it's not a for sure thing is what you're saying.
They have gone to us and are soliciting feedback through the end of this month. And so we met as a staff. I've got 3 or 4 notes that focus heavily on the training of. It's a lot of money for us that have larger staffs because it's every staff that deals with the patrons must do this. And it's like, that's our pages. That's
everybody.
We just moved all of our desks together so everyone can talk to the patron. We don't want to undo that to save $10,000 a year.
I think the more levels of bureaucracy you have in any organization, the harder it is to function properly. You end up double duty, you waste time. It doesn't sound like it.
We're dealing with a couple of tricky things on the volunteer side from the state right now. The state has put out very well-intentioned, very good things to help protect children and volunteers. The method of administering it is incredibly difficult right now for the state. And so it's one of those things where I love what they're trying to do. It's exactly what we're trying to do. Your level of bureaucracy of trying to make it work for Santa Quinn and Salt Lake makes it difficult for us to actually do. And so that could be a concern of, hey, they have a really well-intentioned thing, but they're gonna make us jump through some hoops that just don't help Orem or its residents. Definitely is a fair concern. If there are concerns, and I'll just one more time draw attention to 2.5 years ago, these were a big deal. And there were accusations that the city was not following these things and we were being sneaky about doing it and we had to do this and we were gonna get shut down and all of that, I don't want to gloss that over. So even if you're more comfortable talking to me like in person or something, if you don't want to like raise it here, I want to be very clear. If you have concerns about that and my messaging, I would be happy to answer those questions. I think we are very compliant. We have never, or not never, but for the last 25 years, we have not been required to certify. And so, and this is different. This would not force us to go from a library advisory commission. We don't have to start a mill rate for taxes for library specific funding. We don't have to do that. So they would write it in a way that works for mill rate and non-mill rate cities, boards and commissions, everything like that.
Because, yeah, would that change? So
None
it
of that
wouldn't
would change.
There wouldn't be a requirement for
Which
the
we,
board.
when they came and talked to me at first, I really emphasized I don't think there's a one size fits all. I think you could ask a lot of cities that have like the dedicated mill rate and they would tell you the extreme challenges of funding that come with that. You know, not to on record talk about like another city, but Provo I know has a mill rate and I think it's, you know, the golden handcuffs. They have this dedicated funding. Nobody can touch it. To get that money to grow at the rate of inflation is so challenging. They are constantly doing truth in taxations. They're constantly having to advocate. I think it's tough. I'm so glad that we can just talk to a city council. So it's one of the things, the state was very quick to say, yeah, we have no interest in trying to force one model or the other.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, any other questions on the certification? Are we good? Okay. Beehive, the consortium?
So this was the other half. So the Beehive Library Consortium is what we've talked about for 6 months. It is not technically the state library, two separate organizations. But the state library is the acting agent of the Beehive Library Consortium. So at those meetings, we have 6 hours of doing business as the BLC, not as the state library. And we've talked about a lot of things for that. And I wanted to sort of bring back things that we talked about and suggested and where we're at. The short answer is the vote was stayed until probably May when we get back together again. I am comfortable with that because we as staff act as the legislative body in the BLC. And so, you know, when we have a city council, you don't like present the information to the city council and then ask them to vote on it right then. It's like, hey, give us 2 weeks, give us the information in a work session, we'll talk to our constituents and then we'll go to vote. And so I think the state had the information presented to us at 2 o'clock and by 4 o'clock they're like, all right, are we ready to vote? I'm like, absolutely not. These are massive decisions. I need some time. And so the vote was stayed. We'll get together in May and we'll either have a vote in May or at our next director's summit in September. So I think that was good. We are continuing to see the exponential growth that we talked about at the last few meetings. The problem did not magically fix itself, and surprisingly, the free books continue to be popular when we deliver them straight to their phones. So we have grown another, we think, million checkouts this calendar year. So we're pushed as a consortium. That's all of the libraries in the state that are a part of the consortium. Salt Lake County is not. Orem is the 5th biggest user of the consortium behind Weber County, Davis County, Washington County, Provo, us. So we're a big player. There's 47 of the 65 libraries that are part of the consortium in the state. We're the 5th biggest. We get 1 vote, just like the libraries that are teeny tiny. So this is very much Senate, not House of Representatives. Size doesn't matter, budget doesn't matter. But the exponential growth is happening. And then the publisher costs, they predict to continue to grow at that 20%-ish rate. So same amount of material now costs 20% more to get year to year. There's some advocacy happening at the national level. But given that they operate on a supply demand and demand is just skyrocketing, I don't think they're going to change. I wouldn't if I was their money guy either. It just makes sense that they haven't reached the breaking point yet, and so we are beholden to Mr. Schuster and Mr. Simon and Miss Penguin. So it's a bummer. We talked about some control methods. Number 1 was trying to address the multiple cards. Katrina, you've got a card in Pleasant Grove because you work there, you've got one in Orem, and then Orem has its reciprocal agreement with Provo, so you have Provo's. You use all 3 to log in, and you're getting 30 and 45 concurrents instead of the 10 and 15 that you were meant to. Or Orem Library does these family cards, and so you've got all your kids signed up, but they're not using it, but you're doing all your stuff, but then let's say PG just has like a head of household account, and so they're only getting 10 and 15. Meanwhile, now with kids and multiple libraries, you've got 150 concurrent holds. And so you are technically, legally getting 10 times the value that you're supposed to compared to somebody else. We know that it's a problem. We don't know the scope of the problem, but we think it's a significant problem. So we talked about that. We talked about increasing our budgets. I would communicate to the Orem Library. We've added about $150,000 to our collections the last 2 years. We could probably make one more easy increase next year without it just like crushing other parts of our library, but then we do sort of flatten out. And so we could probably fix this problem for one more year, but then, I mean, I feel like we're Congress going towards like a budget standoff. It's like, eventually we're not fixing it. So we could stay for another minute, but that's that. Overdrive just introduced what are called suspended holds. Anybody familiar with that? Shannon, can I have you explain it?
Yeah, so
better than me?
basically if you put something on hold through Libby and you don't want it right away when it is available for you, you can suspend that hold for a certain amount of time. Libby will also do that automatically for you at the beginning, and then if you don't check it out within a certain amount of time, and I don't remember off the top of my head how long that is, then it will basically just cancel it.
Back to the back of the line.
It's not open to anyone else at that time. It's still.
While you have it as a suspended hold, I think it's 3 days, and then they used to do one automatic renewal. They have stopped doing that, so you have 3 days to get your book. If you don't get your book, you're to the
It goes back in and you're
gone.
back end of the line.
Yep.
Okay.
So that hopefully keeps those, especially those that have. I'm gonna keep picking on you.
many.
You've got 150 with
Yeah.
your 22 library cards. It prevents you from just hoarding, especially these popular titles that we only get them for 2 years, and so if you just suspend it, we pay the same for the 2-year lease, whether we get it to, 56 people or 12 people, and so they're trying to just move the material through a little bit quicker. Okay, then one of the last, second to last thing is looking at more unlimited or concurrent checkout systems. We talked about Covenant Communications, and is it Blackstone? That's the other publisher, Blackstone?
Yes. Think so.
You can basically just pay them a flat rate.
Yeah.
And the consortium does this with a couple publishers. They've got their 200 books, and every single person in the world can check all of them out all at the same time. They don't care. You're basically just buying the rights to the books versus these meter titles. Now, we don't get to choose which publishers and which books go into that model, but maybe we explore more and more some of these other high volume services so we can have more checkouts and more stuff, but it's not the stuff you want. When you're on Amazon Prime, you're scrolling through and you get to like the third page of stuff, you're like, I'm not watching any of this. I don't even know why they have it. It's like and again, that's so dismissive. I'm sure it's beautiful, great art, but it's not the stuff that people are being driven to the app for. And so, how much of that do you do? Magazines was a popular one. The consortium spends $70,000 a year on magazines. We get unlimited checkouts and usage of the magazines. $70,000 buys you 700 copies of the most popular book. Which one should we do? Because you get all these checkouts for magazines, and the New Yorker is a really popular one, and that might be richer in its quality of writing. But again, is it worth? Could we just done a bunch more copies of the most popular books? But it's unlimited, and once you buy it, we actually got access to 3,000 titles, and they've got weekly and monthly, so you get thousands of titles in your system for $70,000 flat rate, whether you use it or not. So do we do more of those to help the lines, or does it not really help the lines because they're there for their one book? The final one is new lower limits on holds and checkouts, and so several major systems in the country have done this, where we are at 10 and 15. They use New York Public Library, Boston, and a couple of others that have now gone down to like 3 and 5 or 5 and 8, so that it removes the power users from the equation. Right now, our top 3% of readers at Orem at the Beehive Library Consortium, our top 3% of users are responsible for 21% of the volume of our checkouts. So if 100 people are using Libby, you three are responsible for 20% of the usage, and then the other 97 of us are responsible for the other 80%. Or the top 20% is responsible for 66% of the volume. And so if we were to throttle that, we have a table of 10 here, right? 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, and Sharon. Okay, if we did that and we essentially said, you two have to use like the rest of us, and the rest of us won't notice a change, it would reduce our cost by 33%. And so, but who do we love at our libraries? Our power users, those that want to use the library the most. We're not in the business of kicking out those that are using our services unless they're costing us a ton. So those were sort of the 4 or 5 methods we talked about. The vote was stayed. A lot of it was because they wanted to see how the overdrive hold suspension change sort of plays out. I brought it to our library staff. I brought it first to Julie and Shannon, our sort of team over digital, and then we brought it to some of our collection developers. And I would say at best the room is split. It is hard. I don't think there's an obvious, easier answer. We're asking librarians to limit access, or we're asking to increase the budget eventually at the expense of other budgets, or we're having to police and catch our users with multiple cards, or we're hoping that the problem fixes itself and the publishers have a change of heart and Ebenezer Scrooge and the Grinch get together and convince them to stop chasing money. Those are sort of our options right now. I'd love to open it up for discussion if y'all have strong thoughts. I have till May, so if we need to dedicate a future hour to this, we can do that too, but that was sort of our major discussion.
I'll just note too, like, in the minutes, we had asked Julie about potential, like, looking at other vendors. She mentioned Baker and Taylor. They're going out of business. They just announced it.
So sad.
By the end of the year. Yeah.
They got bought out and were immediately shuttered
Yeah.
within 2 weeks, which will not help pricing. I mean, which is why they're doing it. They're buying out competitors, shutting them down, and controlling a larger percentage of the market to make us more dependent on the product. Overdrive is also actively buying up other properties right now, so they become the one-stop shop. They bought Canopy. We've seen other competitors, other players in the market that have been pushed aside, and you're getting close to not great options from a choice of vendors right now.
Yeah, it's Overdrive's really the big one. They have been for a long time,
Yep.
even internationally.
Yes. Yeah. Well said. Not great.
Any thoughts, any light bulbs?
Throttling your super users, right? The smallest percentage of the group, but they're using the most in percentage-wise, but you're also making the fewest people angry in the process, I guess. If you were to say, I don't know, my wife's a super user, yesterday she was there, got 4 hours left on this book, and I only have 2 hours to finish it, so she was like doubling her speed. And I was like, well, I don't have a wife for 2 more hours. It's on her, I understand. But, I mean, she's constantly got books, and she's talking to me about books, and so I don't know. I guess if she was to be unhappy with the product, it wouldn't necessarily make me happier. But yeah, it's a tough spot to be.
I do think it makes sense to say, okay, you can have, whatever library cards you want for physical items, but you get digital checkouts from one library. Like, it's just crazy that you could have 3 library cards and get 3 times the number
Increase
of
your
audiobooks
tickets.
that they're playing.
But how do you control that?
Presumably there's something you can do in this system, right, where you could just say, okay, this is your home library, and so this is where you have checkout. I assume we know in our system which people live in Orem and which people live in Provo.
We know as well as they tell us. So
We ask for ID, right?
Mhm.
Proof of address.
With our very young and our student populations,
Yeah.
you run into some challenge. I mean, even our Netflixes and Disney Pluses, they try to crack down on this, and my family still wants to behead. I tease. I think we could, and then it gets into multiple email addresses. I think no matter what, some people can find a way around it.
Yeah.
I think we could address 80% of the problem with some very reasonable changes that would at least help mitigate. Not solve, not get everybody, nor do I want to be in the business of catching them, but
Right.
maybe mitigate.
Well, if with Overdrive making changes, could you see if they're making additional changes and you make changes at the same time? I mean, it could be where they're seeing like, oh, this app option, it works differently, or something's changing differently, and they may not notice that you've throttled the number of checkouts available at the same time, right? So, you know, you drop from 10 and 15 to 9 and 12.
Overdrive gave us 4 minutes heads up last time. We found out from our patrons that Overdrive had made the suspended
Yeah.
holds change. We found out from them when they said, why are you doing this? And we said, tell us what we're doing, and we will tell you what's happening. So I think we could, there's a lot of advocacy to Overdrive from librarians and partners. Is that fair, Shannon? We don't have sway to move them one way or the other right now because of how large they are. But I think we could voice some, hey, help us build out a 18-month plan, and they may or may not play along.
One of the challenges with throttling and the multiple cards, like we have a reciprocal agreement with Provo, right?
Right.
And a lot of our users that aren't on Overdrive that use things like the book club collections at both libraries, that would affect them too. So that it has like these ripple effects of like those changes that we change for Overdrive. We want to kind of step back and see that bigger picture too,
Right.
of how does that affect others that we didn't expect it to affect. So it does have some ramifications.
Does
hard.
Overdrive provide any data back on who the users are that are signing up?
Yep.
So they would know who's using them on the same devices.
We don't get that. That is
They would know
interesting.
that.
If you were to like do a MAC address pivot table, that is interesting.
Because you could,
I doubt they would give us the info. They could anonymize it.
you could say to them, hey, if you are noticing this type of repeat user who signed into the app changes the account, changes the account, changes
I
the
even
account,
wonder
but
if
it's all
Apple
there.
allows them to do that or not. I would have to check. I don't know privacy laws well
Yeah, I
enough.
don't think they could give you names.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part. They could tell us, 2,200 of your users are
Doing
taking you
it.
for a ride.
But then you could say, in your product, it would be better if your product provided that protection for us. We don't have to know who they are.
That's interesting.
You just say your product should be able to guard against this.
Yep.
Because they would know. I mean, I promise you, the simplest app from the App Store knows exactly what device I'm using.
I'll make a note of that. That's interesting. I wonder what the limitations are, but if there aren't limitations, or if there's ways to say, I don't need to know how you got the info, I just need to know a list of multiple logins. And again, there could be reason. Family iPad has each of the kids that they can log in and do their thing. There could be good reasons to do it, but it might even, if they can tell us, that helps us continue to narrow in on what the actual problem is.
Could Sam at the state library,
He doesn't, I don't think he has even
Could
better
people
data
look at
to Overdrive than we do. I think we would have to log into our portal. I think we'd check with Julie to see what they
what's
have.
available?
Any other thoughts or suggestions?
Give us some time to think about it.
Yeah.
I gave you 3 sort of cruddy options, so.
We'll let you know in May.
And lastly, the schedule. Did everyone have a chance to look? Are there any glaring problems?
If I can make 2 brief additions to the schedule. In December of each year, we will have our staff presentations where they do their 2-minute TED Talks in Library Hall. Y'all will be invited to that. And then typically in the fall, all of this could change post-election, but we are invited as a commission. Thank you to everyone who came out. I think almost all of us, or all of us were there, but that will happen again sometime in the fall whenever the council schedules us. And so I don't know those dates yet, I won't know either of those dates, but at least a couple others, and then we have our September conference. Come listen to Nancy.
Yes.
Teach us.
Short and sweet.
So we'll get those other dates to y'all as we know them.
Great. But again, everyone looked and they feel comfortable. I know summer, you never know. July is.
Right.
You never know.
At least up with vacations. And
If we put them down, we're more likely to get.
Yeah, you can see it and it's visible on your calendar coming up. Okay.
I have a question. I don't know if anybody takes the Daily Herald or reads the paper anymore,
do.
but I have noticed that they always have, the Provo Library has a schedule of events in the paper all the time, and the Orem Library does not. Does it cost you to do that? Is that something you might consider doing, so we know
I love that. We'll pass, if we can put that on our notes, we
We
can talk to
actually
Ruth.
have previously, they worked kind of collectively to be like, to try and highlight things at multiple libraries. I don't know if that task for Provo was heading that up. I don't know if it passed to somebody else who stopped doing that, but we've done it with them before. Where we've highlighted things and they've highlighted things, so we can, I can check back with Carla on that as well.
I think, or even Ruth, to see if it's us submitting to Carla.
Yeah, if we're getting the invitations to submit things to them and we're just not. But they had talked to the library directors about, at a meeting, about doing it kind of collectively. So that everybody kind of gets a chance to kind of highlight some stuff going on, so we can follow that up. Just on the to-do list.
Anything else that needs to be brought up?
I'm just curious, are we not doing Orem reads this year? I've seen nothing.
Which is changing.
Okay.
So we are revamping it and making it bigger and better, and it's gonna kick off in January. So
Okay.
we are kind of missing a year,
Yeah.
as it were, so that we have time to revamp it and kind of roll it out new. So
Okay.
kind of watch for it.
Okay, I'll just
All right.
pretend I already did it.
It's gonna be,
You picked the
it's
book?
gonna be good. I've seen I've seen the plans. So yeah, it's exciting. The program team has been brainstorming that and really coming up with some fun things
Sweet.
and rolling it out differently. So
Okay.
giving it new life.
Are you
I
gonna
wanna drag
present
this
it
out.
at city council? Sorry, will you present it, like introduce it at city council?
We
This
can,
year?
we can. I guess I don't
We
know.
can ask if
We
they
can ask
would
if they
like to.
want us to, yeah. But the kickoff is in January, so there's going to be an event that kind of kicks it off and things like that. So I don't know the date of it. Sorry, I can talk.
I have a comment on the book sale. I went to this last one, and it was overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming. You walk in there and there's just books galore, they're on the floor, they're everywhere, there is no way in the world you could ever look through them. I said, is there any organization? And she said, fiction and nonfiction. I said, that's not helpful. So I spent, 45 minutes there and I didn't even get started on them. And I don't know if they put them back or what they do with them, or there was just not enough time to even start to go through the amount of books that you had available. And I know if you do it quarterly, it's probably going to be the same. Does that work? Does that not work? Have you had any other comments?
We sell about the same amount of books doing it quarterly as we do weekly. So it works in that way. And then it takes significantly less staff time. We basically, every process we were doing for the books in our collection, we were having to redo for the books in the book sale. And so it was significantly more work. That being said, if it's not working for y'all or our residents, we're happy to revisit it. It was an effort for us to reduce the amount of work we were having to do to exit the books from the collection.
Did anyone else go to it?
I didn't get to
I
the.
went to the
this
first
one.
one,
Yeah,
and it was
same.
chaos, but it was,
I mean, exciting chaos. I found a great Captain Raptor book, but
Oh.
it was kind of crazy.
yeah.
A little crazy.
This one was particularly big because this was basically
It was
two.
pushed out, yeah.
Yeah, it got pushed out because of the construction and things like that. So this is basically 2 book sales in one. And so that's why there was that volume.
But we
Of
also did not
books.
take donations for this one.
Yep.
We have not taken donations in 6 months because of the
Right.
volume. So
Yes.
it would be a little bit better, but maybe not.
But not
maybe
entirely.
not all the way
so,
better.
yeah. So, but each time we're learning. So, with this, so
Well, I
yeah.
wasn't there at the
Useful.
start. I'm sure it was busy. I wasn't able to come until the afternoon, and there were still a lot of people there, but I
Mhm.
just was overwhelmed with, especially the ones on the floor. It's really hard to look in the boxes, so I just walked along and.
We did run out of tables.
Yeah.
We used every
I'm
table we
sure.
had in that building.
Well, and the floor was as full as the
Yep.
tables, so
Yeah.
it was just overwhelming.
The volume is big.
I will share that feedback with our staff. Hannah on Shannon's team is sort of the point for running that book sale. So I can let her know that, and we can just put it in part of our event debrief to make sure we're trying to get it right.
Okay, I didn't know if anybody else said anything. That was just my feeling. I always love the book sales. Not like I need books.
$1 a book.
I
Who
did
doesn't
buy
need a book?
some.
Yeah.
Well, by the time I got there, they were half price, and I thought, wait, instead of doing half price after the 20th, they do it at noon, and then is it free by 5 o'clock? Or-
The last hour was free.
Was it really?
It was.
Oh, my
That's
goodness.
great.
Some libraries do like $1 a bag kind of thing, and people
Yeah.
just walk out with like 10 bags of
We
books.
had
Like,
people
oh, I
loading
know.
them out for us.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's better than staff loading them out for us.
Oh,
so.
yeah, we
Absolutely.
love having them find a new home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So tentative date on this calendar, for the Orem Read kickoff is January 10th. Don't hold me to it,
I'm gonna write that down.
because,
Yeah,
but if
it's
you wanna,
Yeah,
in
you
that,
are held to
in
it.
that vicinity.
Great.
Is that similar to like the summer program, like the World of Color that you guys did, or that's different?
So Orem Reads is kind of the adult reading
adult,
challenge,
It's
kind
like
of,
different
yeah, it's a little bit
genres,
different,
pick,
yeah.
you know, pick some
You
hot
pick a
stuff
different
for this
book,
genre,
we have
and
copies of it,
Yeah.
we have events that are themed
Yeah.
to it. things like that. It's gonna be good.
Fahrenheit 451 last year.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I appreciated getting that copy,
Yeah.
and
That
I
was-
know that a lot of kids at the high school were reading it, and I've had conversations with kids who were like, I've never read anything this amazing.
Oh, it's
And it was very
amazing.
relevant.
Yeah.
Yes,
Unfortunately.
Yes,
Yes.
unfortunately, it was very relevant.
so good, so. We've picked one, that, book, I won't give it away.
Uh,
But we picked a good one this year, we're all
After we turn the
very,
recorder off, you can give it away.
we're all very excited about it. And there's fun things afoot, so.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite things to talk about at like the farmer's market when we do it. Just everybody loves like the adult reading challenge and it's summer.
Yes, good. Well, hopefully they'll be equally as excited by the new refresh.
We will hype it up.
All right, well, thank you all for staying, and thank you for
Sorry to go
enlightening
over
us.
again.
That's all right. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second? All right,
Control
all
my
in
hands.
favor, we're out of here? Aye, thank you.
Thank you, Katrina.
Is this Saturday, is Jennifer Nelson?
Yes,
Is that right? Jennifer
Mhm,
Nelson this Saturday,
Jennifer
Library
Nelson's-
Hall?
yes.
And then we have we announced January? That's public, right?
What, the Orem Read?
No, our
No.
speaker, our author, visiting author?
Do we have one?
I thought we did.
It's not February.
Or February.
Oh, February, yes.
That's public, right?
I think it's on the calendar.
Okay.
I have to check. We can tell this group, turn off the recorder.